A very good afternoon, and thank you so much for having taken the time to join today's webinar. My name is Jay Reddy. I'm with the Identity Access Management team here at ManageEngine. So, guys, I'd like to first of all thank you all for having taken the time. It does mean a lot to us for you to having spent time with us through the entire session. We absolutely understand as to how critical the time is right now, and we are going to have an action-oriented session today. We will be discussing about quite a few aspects of identity management. The most important agenda for the day will be around password security, password self-service, and password enablement. So as all of us have started working remotely, most of us at least, in fact, my organization as well, we have about 8,000 folks who are working remotely. It does become imperative that we start dealing with remote work challenges, which is exactly what we'll be doing today. You early birds are going to help me with a quick audio video check before we get started. I just want to make sure that you're able to hear me loud and clear. If my audio is loud and clear, please drop a message right now or probably use the raise hand symbol to let me know. Lovely, 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 lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much, Steve, Andrew, and Shetty. Thank you so much, guys, for confirming. So it's good. Lovely. I think I've got the confirmation right now. Just give me 1 second. All right, lovely. So thank you, guys. We have our in-house folks also who've joined in today's webinar who are going to be taking your questions just in case if you have anything coming up on the way, guys. Thank you so much for that. We'll get started with the webinar today. We will be talking about something very specific. We'll be talking about eliminating password reset tickets. Turns out recently, right after the whole remote work scenario, we are speaking to so many administrators around the world, and one common problem that everybody is pointing out to is the problem of password reset tickets that are flooding their help desk. So that is something that we'll be considering through today's webinar, and we'll be discussing about how to essentially help users self-serve themselves. That's the idea. The webinar is being recorded just in case. If you want to copy, just drop me a message towards the end. If you have questions, guys, please feel free to ask your questions then and there. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Let's get started with the webinar. So as we were just talking a while back, remote working has become the new normal. You must have heard it time and time again. Now, it's become quite obvious for a lot of reasons. IT is at the front line of a lot of businesses. Why would I say that? Essentially, this is excuse me, system administrators and folks, especially the identity access management administrators, are at the front line of businesses. This is basically because for a business to keep its light on while people are working remotely, they should be empowered to have access to their network. They should be able to access their in-house applications, and all this right now is the responsibility of an IAM administrator. And one major difference between how things were before and how things are right now is the fact that your employees or your users are no longer within the confines of your organizational network, which obviously also means it is not just your users bringing their own devices to work right now from home, but also your users are bringing their own vulnerabilities along with them as they log in. What am I trying to tell you right here? So when it comes to your users trying to log into one of the resources in your organization, let's say a file or a folder or a file server, it could be anything for that matter. You give them the provision to remote, and you give them the provision to, enable a VPN session and log right into your network. But what we also have to understand is all of this transaction is happening from their home network, probably on their Wi-Fi. You just can't be sure about all the variables in this equation. No matter how hard you try, there is going to be some problem or the other with respect to what they could potentially be bringing along with them. So if they're accessing your network from their own devices, the challenges are even bigger. And it doesn't really stop right there. Now that all of us have started working remotely, it does call for more attention with respect to the number of applications that we have provisioned for our users, especially when it comes to all these cloud applications that organizations have started adopting to. Let's talk about Microsoft Teams or even Zoom for that matter, the very video conferencing application that we're using today. A lot of us have empowered our users in the process, but we'll also have to understand that with every new application, there are going to be identities that need to be provisioned for these applications as well. So with new identities, the obvious course of action or the obvious problem is password security, which is again something that we'll be discussing today. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to break it down and keep the session very straightforward and action oriented. We've set the premise very clearly and strongly. I'm pretty sure all of us agree that password reset problems are a big deal right now. Help desk calls for passwords are a big deal. Account unlocks are a big deal right now. And of all times, it becomes a lot more overwhelming right now because administrators at this time are challenged with not just that, a lot more. So we'll be talking about self-service for our users, and then we'll step a little forward and talk about how do we make the whole thing airtight, irrespective of the fact that you have the best security practices. It also is equally important that you keep foolproofing it every single point in time. So MFA turns out to be that one foolproof agent that you'll have to have in your system, and we'll go forward to discuss about how do you get that implemented. All right. And from an enablement standpoint, we want all our users to have the same level of comfort and accessibility and access to all those applications that they were having before and the ones that they newly have. And while they do it in the process, if we can give them like simple dashboards from where they can access, nothing better than that. So we'll be discussing about single sign-on right there. And then we'll proceed a little further to discuss about something that is important for organizations, especially identity administrators at this very point in time, being able to keep track of user activity. So as we speak, we keep hearing about so many cases of security breaches that are happening right now. And the worst of these security cases are the ones that are happening to healthcare organizations, people trying to, or cyber attackers trying to infiltrate into healthcare organizations, and then trying to exfiltrate some critical health related data. So this is something that we can't afford. I'm pretty sure a few of us who are joining us are from industries that have strict regulations on PII, personally identifiable information, or health records or business records for that matter. So we'll be discussing a little bit on the importance of setting up the right policies that will also in turn help you set up your whole deal of tracking the user behavior. And another aspect of it, a fun aspect of it, is also being able to track their productivity. We'll be discussing about that as well. We'll get a little further, and towards the fag end of the session, we'll be getting into mobile active directory management. So all of that we've been discussing all along, what if administrators also got a bonus? So users are working from home, administrators and IT folks are as well working from home. Why not give them that comfort of doing all of this from their mobile phone? So we'll be discussing about all of that. So let's quickly get started. I'll start with the first step for the day, the most important in my point of view, self-service. So when it comes to self-service, usually in organizations, there's a lot of friction to new software or new implementations. That's a given. But when it comes to self-service, you don't necessarily need to treat it as a new software. There's literally zero to no onboarding involved when it comes to self-service because your users aren't new to the idea of self-service. We are talking about the same set of users who maybe go on Google, go on Facebook and reset their passwords when they forget. What if we can bring the same level of comfort, the ease of use to users' endpoints, to users' enterprise applications, to users' enterprise identities? That is the idea behind self-service while your users are working remotely. So that is what we want to achieve. And not just that, another big chunk of it is users locking themselves out. It could be a bad password, it could be expired password, could be 100 other reasons. But account unlocks are again one of the most common help desk tickets. So the idea is to lessen the burden on the help desk by reducing both password reset and account unlock calls by essentially enabling your users to do their own job. It's as simple as that. And then in the process, we try to empower them in as many platforms as possible. If they want to do it on their desktop, great, let's give them that. If they want to do it on their mobile phone, perfect. Let's give them that. That's the idea with which we'll move forward. So we're talking about the first step for the day for remote working, which is enabling self-service, SSPR, self-service password reset and account unlock for our users. That's the first tip that I have for you. So a while back, I was talking about the whole idea of friction, right? When you make it a little complicated for your users, done. That's all. Nobody is going to use that specific functionality any longer. So what we've done is get the password reset and account unlock right at the logon screen. Doesn't matter if it's Windows, doesn't matter if it's Mac, doesn't matter if it's even Linux. If you can get the reset and account unlock right at the logon screen and give them this experience, an experience that is very similar to the same level of comfort that they'd be having while they are inside your network. That's the kind of experience your users are looking for, and that's a functionality that your users would definitely use. From a user standpoint, all we want them to see is a simple button. They click on that button and then they go about answering a few challenge questions or any option that you configure. There are a couple of options for self-service. Challenge questions are the usual ones. You can have a second factor, whichever you think is suitable. Get that done, and once that's done, the password reset is applied. For the user, this is how it looks like. But from an admin standpoint, you very well know it's not going to be that simple, because the user is no longer in the Active Directory network. They are away from the Active Directory network. So in the background, the engineering of this looks like this. So your users don't need to know this. For your users, it's just one click. But then I'm pretty sure all of you are inquisitive as to how this works. So AD360, the tool that we'll be talking throughout today's webinar, for which I'll try and give you the link to register. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a message on chat right now to all of you folks. Okay. And this link will get you a 60-day license to the tool that we are talking. So we've essentially made the tool available for 60 days just so that we can help you counter the whole remote working challenge. So this is something from our end. We want to help you out this way. So please feel free to download and install and let me know if you need any help in the process. So getting back to what we were discussing, AD360 is the tool that stands between the user and Active Directory as a mediator. So any request that goes to your Active Directory has to go through AD360. That way you're doing two things. One, complete control over any request that goes to your Active Directory. Two, make it simple and enable your users to have that Active Directory like or on-prem like experience. So these two important things happen when AD360 is the mediator. So all validation, security questions, whatever you wish to do happens at the AD360 level. The request then gets transferred all the way to Active Directory. And then if it's a password reset request, it gets applied on Active Directory, gets relayed back all the way to the user, the new password is applied. Is that good enough? As a matter of fact, it's not enough, because your user is working remotely and there's this cached credentials problem. So the stale cached credentials can be a trouble when they're trying to log in. So that also has to be updated. And that's where AD360 again goes one step further, works in tandem with your VPN, tags the request all the way to Active Directory, gets the cached credentials verified right there, transfers it back to the user's endpoint or laptop, and overwrites the cached credential as well. Now, this is quite a bit of transaction from a technical standpoint, us administrators understand. But for users, it has to look pretty simple. They don't want to know what's going on behind. For them, all they'll see is a simple logon screen, just like a while back I showed you a button from where they can reset or unlock their account, and all of that happens in the background. So secure VPN transactions, and AD360 will be that defense mechanism right before a request goes to Active Directory. So we've been talking about so many attacks that happened remotely recently. Lots of users have moved to remote, so attackers find it really easy to do like an RDP and start compromising credentials. But since there's a tool that validates every request that comes through it, it's more like a firewall to your Active Directory, if I may. So we have a couple of out-of-the-box integrations when it comes to VPN vendors, and we are pretty open and flexible to other vendors as well. So please do let me know if there's any specific vendor that you want to tie up with the product, and that can absolutely be done for you. So we're talking about the first tip for the day, which is enabling self-service for the users. We just saw how important self-service can be from a standpoint of both password reset and account unlock. The biggest challenge here being able to counter it for the remote working scenario, which we've successfully done. And yes, the support for VPN to enable the whole process to be secure. So the first tip for the day is to enable self-service for account unlock and password reset, and that is done. Let me move a little further. So we've been talking about users working remotely. Now, the challenge right here, especially with users who form the weakest link in any security protocol, that's how I see it. They are the weakest link. These are the same set of users who write their passwords on a piece of paper or a sticky note and have it stuck right on top of their desktop. So how exactly can you expect them to follow or adhere to all these best practices that you give them while they are working from home? So just like I pointed out a while back, it does become really difficult, and it does become really easy for the attackers to find that one vulnerable user or that one vulnerable instance and try to sneak into your system. So this becomes all the more complicated because you have Microsoft out there that's sent out like a blog or put together a blog that very clearly states that if Active Directory, in just one account in your Active Directory gets compromised, within 48 hours, your entire network security can come down. And a domain admin can be compromised within 48 hours. And even before you know, the attacker starts exfiltrating data. So this is a tough part right here, because as such, we are working remotely and we just can't afford to let an attacker exfiltrate data right under our nose. We just can't afford to do that. So I would want you to do one alteration or one consideration, if I may. So start acknowledging the possibility that there's an attacker lurking in your system as we speak today. As you're attending this webinar, you might never really know if there's an attacker already in your system exfiltrating data, because we are talking about so many variables that we were never prepared for. All of these users bring new challenges along with them, and most of us, we know how our users are. These are the same set of users who click on an email that says do not open. These are the same set of users who download an attachment that says do not download. So that's where I leave it. So we're talking about the last couple of months and what's the trend generally been. We are able to consistently see an increase in the number of phishing attacks that have happened in the last couple of months. Especially if you see all these phishing attacks are COVID themed. They are impersonated, and they try to send out, these attackers get quite creative. They try to send out emails that look as if they are extremely legitimate, as if like they are emails from the World Health Organization giving you a cure. And the worst part is, in countries like India where I live, I received an email that says the government is giving me such an amount, such a sum as a compensation, and all I'll have to do is claim the reward at that specific link by paying up upfront a specific amount. They asked for my credentials. I was curious. I went in, I checked what they were asking. I knew it was an attack, but still wanted to go in and check what they were really up to. And they were asking for my social security number, my Aadhaar number, which is my unique identifier number here in India, a couple of other details, bank details, and so on and so forth. And so many people fall victim for this, let alone office environment. We're talking about home environment where the user logs into the same office network via VPN, and the day before that, the user fell prey for an attack like this. So we're talking about malwares. We're talking about so many other cases where users can fall prey. So passwords are your obvious first line of defense. It's a given that password is good at encryption. Passwords can be encrypted. They're cost efficient. When it comes to compatibility, they're pretty good. And even if they're stolen, they can be modified. So this is passwords for you. Passwords are your obvious first line of defense when it comes to security for identities. But then, just like all of us are very aware of, passwords do fall short, especially if they're Active Directory password policies. It becomes all the more obvious that they don't live up to the expectation. Now, we are talking about attackers who can get extremely creative. We are talking about attackers who can social engineer your users into giving away credentials. And all we have is probably fine-grained password policy or a couple of other options like GPOs or SecPol for that matter, but we're setting up password policies from there. But does it do the job? That's the big question. So we have users who are like this. We have users who try to circumvent every rule that you establish. They try to come up with a solution, a creative, or as a matter of fact, not so creative solution to get into your to make your security more vulnerable. So we are talking about users who try to get away with easy passwords. And the worst part is it's not just us who are aware of this fact, the attackers very well know. And when it comes to our users, they're very predictable. They do incremental passwords. They try to make it simple for themselves. And on top of it, right now, as we speak right now, there are new identities that you must have provisioned for your users, especially all these collaboration apps that we were talking about. So users can fall victim for password fatigue, as we call it. They tend to use the same password across multiple platforms. If one of those platforms is compromised, you're talking about your entire security coming down. And not just that, incremental passwords. So you must have had the best idea to reset their passwords or set expiry or ensure that there's security, but then they get away with just an incremental password. So how do you check that? And then obviously the age-old dictionary attack. Now you can't stop your users from having a password like password at 123 or maybe I love you at 123. These are common passwords that keep getting used all the time, but still the existing Active Directory password policies, or for that matter, pretty much all identity providers password policies aren't up to the mark. So this is the brutal reality. So how do we stop our users from not setting passwords that are dictionary words? So that's a question for you. And then on top of it, there's always this issue of overload or overloading the help desk with password expiry. So all of this turns out to be a problem because Active Directory password policies or other identity password policies aren't strong enough. So what we propose is a provision for you to top up and give your Active Directory password policy the much deserved boost it needs. So we are talking about scaling up your password policy to prevent users from having passwords that have dictionary words. So this is quite intuitive. So it quite effortlessly attaches with any dictionary that you have out there, or you can map it to the dictionary that we give you, and you can stop users from setting passwords that are dictionary words. You can go one step further and be a little smart. You can stop users from setting up patterns. So this is an intuitive function. We are talking about very predictable users and very predictable passwords that they set. As a matter of fact, we had conducted a small research, and turns out there are not more than 400 odd patterns in which users set their passwords. So that is how predictable users are. So your users might think they've come up with the best possible pattern for security, but turns out it would possibly be one among those 400 patterns that we're talking about. Humans are predictable. They do tend to slack at that point in time when they're setting passwords. So we're talking about patterns like 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive numbers. We're talking about keyboard waltzing. Let's say QWERTY, QWERTY. A lot of people do that. How do you stop them from doing that? And not just that, the other obvious patterns like their username or their first name or some aspect of their account or some aspect of the name of the organization. So you got to be able to stop that as well. And a tool that you're looking for password security needs to do that. So modifying patterns, you can set up restrictions for patterns, for dictionary words, for consecutive characters from your username. So you just can't get away with the history option that is available in your Active Directory. We're talking about going a step further and trying to top it up with additional security right here with stopping users from having consecutive characters from their previous passwords. So incremental passwords are no longer a problem. So likewise, there are a couple of other options as well. I want you to try and explore. I've given you the link. Please download, please try, please implement, and it does prove to be really helpful. And it doesn't really stop right there. We have to be at our best, right? When attackers are trying to be at our best, it's our duty as well to, we've always tried to do that, but then one extra functionality that could help you definitely get there is the integration that we've got with haveibeenpawned.com. I'm going to quickly open up my browser to check if I can give you like a quick view of the Have I Been Pawned. So what happens right here is this specific website has a repository of all exposed passwords. So here you go, real world passwords previously exposed in data breaches. So this is the first point for any attacker. They get into the dark web. I'm pretty sure administrators have also got in the dark web now and then to see what's happening. You know how easy it is to find credentials on the dark web. Credentials get sold for a couple of pounds, for a couple of dollars. So what do you do at that point in time? So when you have this integration in place, when your user sets up a weak password, the solution will not let them use a password that's already been compromised. So this is a real-time integration. The database right here keeps getting updated every day for all vulnerable passwords, or the ones that got exposed or the ones that got compromised, and your users will be stopped from using any password that is vulnerable. So I will be mandated to set an extremely strong password, or I will not be able to proceed any further. So we're talking about a passphrase right here. You could do other passwords as well. So that's exactly where we're getting at. So this integration will help you set up strong password policies, both at an Active Directory level and once integrated to other respective identity providers as well. So Have I Been Pwned will get pretty much all the use cases covered. No dictionary words, no patterns, stop using any compromised passwords from the past, no incremental passwords, pretty much most of the cases covered. And my major concern among all of this has always been usability. We've spoken about password security, but then it all boils down to enabling our users. So if you're not able to relay that specific password, okay, if you're not able to relay that specific policy for our users right at the logon screen, now it gets really difficult. They're still going to pick up the phone and call you because they didn't know what rule to follow. And then I have this wonderful question right now. A while back, I just received a question from Murat. Murat asks me if I can do restrictions to a specific OU or groups. Right, lovely. Yes, you can, as a matter of fact. The biggest challenge with Active Directory, as a matter of fact, is the deficiency of Active Directory to not let OU level restrictions. And right here, the tool lets you make OU level restrictions. You can specify which specific OU should have what level of complexity for the passwords. Now, excuse me, this applies throughout the product. This applies throughout the solution. So any aspect of the solution that we'd be discussing today does have the provision to have OU level restrictions. Certain OUs will require stronger passwords and stronger authentication policies. So you can do that as you see, as you wish. I hope I've answered your question, Mr. Murat. So going forward, we were talking about setting up right at the logon and displaying right at the logon saying what are the requirements. So that is there. So that's my first primary tip. Enable self-service for your users and make it easy for your users so that they're able to see it right at the logon. So that's my first tip. Next tip is quite important, multi-factor authentication. So we are trying to foolproof right here, make ourselves as safe as possible from any password attack. And even if passwords are compromised, God forbid, but still if they're compromised, you have a foolproofing mechanism like MFA that can essentially stop an attacker from going any further, because this is right at the endpoint level, be it an RDP session, be it a session that's happening right now on your own device. So we are trying to get MFA right before you log in, or authenticate yourself with your Active Directory credentials. Let me give you a couple of options right here. Essentially, it boils down to us trying to make it simple for our users. When it comes to the options, we got to be flexible with options that they find easy to use. The second factor, maybe fingerprint is something that a lot of people have been using recently. Push notifications, again, a great way. A couple of people prefer SMS or notifications. I'm not a big fan. I personally prefer emails over text notifications. But yeah, you have a couple of options right here. The best ones are the fingerprint, Duo Security. You have other integrations with Google Authenticator, time-based OTP that gets sent over to your phone. So you could do a couple of options, whichever works for whichever users, and go on. So what I want to do is I want to quickly demonstrate a simple case right here. Let's say your administrator password is compromised, all right? So if that's the case, right here, the hacker will not be able to go any further without having the second factor. So we're talking about an admin's credential being compromised. The hacker just entered the admin credential, but fortunately, since there's a second factor that's set right here, the administrator will be the only person who can access the account. The hacker does not have access to the admin's email. or probably even the fingerprint for that matter. In this case, it's the email verification that gets sent. And the second factor stops. The MFA works precisely right at the login. So this is one of the best ways or best places to MFA for that matter. Application level MFA, yes, indeed, that's a useful thing. That as well we do. Server level MFA, all of that is fine. But if you're able to do it at every endpoint for every critical user, nothing better than that. So that's the idea. So MFA right at the login. So we wanted to up the game a little bit. Now we're talking about a new scenario, remote working. So we thought we'll make it a little cooler with adaptive authentication. Now, adaptive authentication goes on to understand every user by their behavior. It takes into account factors like biometrics, factors like the device from where they log in. And then it goes on to also capture their network address, their usual working times in the day, and profiles every single user. So basically, when a user tries to log on from maybe a different device, from maybe a different location, from maybe a different IP range, or maybe even a different point of time in the day, they get flagged because it wasn't usual behavior. So that is the beauty of adaptive authentication, and it tries and understands every user behavior and compares it with the profile that it's drawn. And it's a very dynamic model. And just in case if there's a deviation, you can set up thresholds. You can probably be alerted. You can probably make the authentication a little difficult with extra factors of authentication, or you can configure for a complete block. You cannot let the user log in without proving their identity. You could do whichever you think is necessary, and adaptive authentication is something that we are working on right now as we speak. So we just covered the ground with respect to multi-factor authentication. Another quick tip and important tip that all administrators would love is password expiry notification. Now, the default Microsoft way of notifying people of their forgotten passwords is a pop-up. And what do people do when they see a pop-up? They close it without reading it. So what we've done is we've put together a tool inside AD360 that can notify your users in all possible channels: text notifications, push notifications, email, everything that you can probably think of, and where your users spend most of their time. You can set up password expiry notification. In fact, as we speak, we are proactively working on integrations with Slack, Microsoft Teams. So wherever they are, we try to find them right there and notify them of that specific problem. So as we go forward, so it becomes easier to notify them maybe 2 weeks ahead of time, 1 week ahead of time, 3 days, 1 day, right on the day, about password resets and impending password resets, and probably account lockout as well, or account expiry as well. So this does really help, and it looks something as simple as this. It's a text notification where I have details that my passwords are about to expire, and then I go on and reset my password. So keep notifying them. Nothing wrong about over communicating. Do not get into the trap of thinking or assuming that you're spamming your users. As a matter of fact, no, you have to remind them so many times, because there's so much noise out there that you have to cut through to remind your users. And password expiry notification has helped so many organizations in the last 50 days. I've spoken to so many people, and they've vouched for the fact that it's reduced the number of help desk calls because they do it on time. So this is a great way to help your users also have complete access to their accounts, not get locked out, enabling business continuity, and also reducing at the same point in time the workload on the admin front. So from another perspective, like an alternate perspective, so this is for the administrators to help themselves. Another perspective to help users is single sign-on. So we've been talking about going remote and exposing all our applications inside or in-house applications over the internet, just so that our users can access. Right. So now this is a tricky thing. So based on statistics, based on research that we conducted, 40% of organizations out there have at least one application, an in-house application or an inside application, some enterprise applications that they've got exposed to the internet, just so that your users can access easily. Now, this is a big challenge. So you do not want to do that. You want to ensure that all the authentication happens in the background. And probably if you have set up single sign-on, it becomes a lot more simpler. So SAML does the authentication. And if you can configure a dashboard that can give your users all the access and the applications that they'd probably be accessing in their day, be it in-house, be it third party, be it cloud applications, all in one platform. Now that is exactly what your users would be needing. So at this point, AD360 supports about 450 applications. You can hook in any application, in-house application that supports SAML, and you can get the job done. Now this saves not only a lot of time for your users, but from a security standpoint, this is probably a lot more logical way to approach login than letting your users remember 10 different passwords for 10 different accounts and letting them compromise password security with weak passwords. So this does half of the job, and when you have MFA, it does the rest half of the job. So my tips for you so far: enable password self-service, get on and enable multi-factor authentication, and then the next one is to enable single sign-on for your users. So these are the 3 tips that I have for you so far. Going a little further, we're going to be talking about, again, from an admin standpoint. So we've enabled them all we want. Next obvious course of action is to keep complete tab on the activity that they perform with all these newfound accesses that you've given them. Now, I've been speaking to administrators for quite some time now. Recently, most of them have this one common problem. Given the fact that they're working remotely, your users tend to be a little pushy, and then somehow they try and ask for requests or make requests for accesses that they're not supposed to be having accesses in the first place. So there is a dilution in terms of security, and it's quite obvious. So what I want to tell you guys is, if you're able to get them all empowered, it also equally matters to be in complete control or be in complete know. So it starts with something as simple as keeping a tab on their productivity. Now, this is a useful nifty report. So if you're talking about activity of their users, there's no better way than doing it with log data. So we're talking about a very logical approach to tracking attendance for users. It's not just log on, log off. It's a lot more intricate than that. It takes into account the idle time. It takes into account how long there was the screensaver that was invoked. It takes into account quite a lot of other factors and then calculates the effective attendance for your users. So this is a very good approach towards if you were to be calculating productivity for your users, you could do that, and it doesn't really stop right there, does it? A while back, we just saw how adaptive authentication can analyze user behavior, which forms the premise for my next point. If you're able to keep track on the count or the activity that a user is doing on a file or a folder, the time of the day from where they're accessing, the location from where they're accessing, the resources that they're accessing for the first time, the privileges that they're using for the first time. Now, you would be definitely surprised by the kind of insights that you draw. In fact, we had done a test case inside our organization to see what was the general pattern of working hours and what files did users generally access while they were working remotely. And trust me, we found so much insightful data as to how unpredictable user behavior can be. When you give them the freedom, it so happens that they try to log in at different points in time of the day. They try to access files that they're not supposed to be just because they have access to it. So tracking logon activity will form a very important premise of your journey towards enabling your users, because we will need to do 2 things: not just enable them, but as administrators, as IT folks, as the guys who empower our business right now, we are also bound to do it effectively. So we have limited resources to work with. Now, you can't expect like a huge deal of traffic remoting into your system at one point in time. You wouldn't want your servers to be overloaded when you're probably running an update, someone's accessing in a non-business hour. So you should be in the know, and when you track logon activity, you can find out very clearly brute force attacks, stop non-business hours activity. And in fact, if you have a tool that can control or manage remote accesses, nothing better than that, and AD360 can do that for you. So being able to track unusual logon, being able to detect a lateral movement, it could be an insider, it could be an attacker if they tend to move laterally, like hop between multiple devices. Let's say I'm Jay and I am accessing usually from the desktop or laptop that is assigned to me. There's a device, but all of a sudden I make a password reset request from someone else's laptop. Now that is an anomaly. So that was not me in the first place. So your system needs to be having the provision to look for such deviations and anomalies. When we go a little further, we are also talking about installations that happen for the first time. So malware is right there that can be stopped when users are trying to install knowingly or accidentally or unknowingly. So you could take control of that as well, and tracking privilege of your users. So when they get privileges for the first time, they try to play around with it, but you'd want to know what exactly are they doing. And this is probably an important thing for all IAM administrators as well. So we've kind of covered the ground with respect to password self-service. Another enablement that I wanted to share with you is to give them the access to all those resources that they're asking for, but with a catch, but with a filter. What if you can get the whole process done through a request review approval flow? A user will not be able to access a resource unless it's authenticated, unless it's signed on, unless it's approved by a manager. So you approve, you set up a flow, and all the requests that you receive finally for permissions, for files and folders, for applications goes through a process, so that you can very much reduce the number of junk requests, if I may, junk requests that you get. So you pre-validate most of these requests and not end up giving provisions for everybody. So this helps both from a security standpoint and from a operations standpoint. So quite effective that way. And when it comes to access management, we've been trying to empower them. So we'll need to be in the know all the time, know who's remoting into your system. If you want to log someone out of it, you should be able to do that. If you want to configure a remote for maybe, let's say, contract employees for that matter, that's a use case that keeps coming up all the time. What about all these new contract employees that need to log in? If you want to do something like that, your tool should be able to give you that provision, that flexibility. And it doesn't really stop right there. We also have a humongous load of productivity applications that most of us just subscribe for, Office 365 being one of them. If you were to follow news closely last year, Office 365 is one of the most vulnerable platforms out there from a data security standpoint. So you will have to be extra cautious now, given the fact that all your proprietary data is on a cloud platform like Office 365 for that matter, OneDrive for that instance. So if you can keep complete tab on every activity on files and folders, who is accessing it, what time, what files are they copying, what files are they deleting, are they trying to copy a file from one of these drives onto a pen drive, onto a device, onto a hard drive. At work, you would have the restriction of bringing in memory sticks, but while working at home, you can't really stop that, but the tool can do that for you, things like that. Being able to deploy all these identities and a lot more from a personal identity PII standpoint. So you have GDPR on top of it. You never know what can happen, what can go wrong when your users are working from home, and what data can get lost. So it's best to stay secure. And in my personal opinion, it all boils down to how you set up your security for your organization, especially password. So you enable them at the same time, secure it. And when you're trying to do this, if you can do and get all the job done, majority of the tasks that require immediate attention, be it being able to unlock an account or probably disable an account when you know something malicious is happening, or reset passwords for people on the go, nothing better than that. And when it comes to enabling your users, give them an application, make it simple for them. Let them do their second factor right from their phone. Let them have clear-cut definitions of what they're expected to do when they're trying to do a password reset from their phone. Notify them, keep them posted, send out push notifications, and get the whole password self-service done from a phone. Nothing easier than this. So this as well is a very useful case for a lot of organizations working remotely. So what I've done is I've tried and covered as much as ground as possible. I'm going to give you one last round of tips. But before that, what I want to do is I want to give you access to the tool that we were talking about so long. If you haven't still downloaded it, go on. We are here to help you. It's going to be available for the next 60 days. We are trying to make it available as long as the whole remote working scenario continues. If it progresses a little further, we'll help you even then. So do not worry, we are here to help, and that's exactly what we want to do. And AD360, the tool that we just discussed today, the tool for which I gave you the link to, will let you enable self-service for your users, will let you do it remotely, will help them unlock their own accounts, supports multiple directories, not just AD. So today I've taken AD just as an example. If you're on Azure, if you're on Office 365, if you're on G Suite, the same set of functionalities apply. Notify them right on time. Keep notifying them for their password expiry. If you're able to set up multi-factor, which I honestly recommend you do, even if you're not able to enable any of the functionalities that I just told you, at least from a security standpoint, if you can just enable MFA, all right, just enable MFA, most of your problems are solved. And from a security standpoint, MFA being on one side, from an access enablement standpoint, single sign-on is a great way to do it. And if you can do all of it securely with a tool that does self-service like this, nothing better than that. And then there are a couple of other functionalities that you'd be interested in: tracking behavior, keeping track of their attendance, checking if there's anomalous activity, enabling them for remote access whenever possible, and taking a look at all these cloud applications that you've recently received. So being able to track all of this from a single dashboard is the agenda with which we want to go forward. So we've put together a couple of resources. So I've collaborated with a couple of folks right here, experts right here, and we've put together resources for enabling you to get geared up for remote work. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already set clear guidelines for remote work, but just in case if you're in the process, if you might think that a couple of resources that we put together are useful, just drop me a message and I'd be more than happy to help. So it's quite obvious that what we are faced with right here, remote work is challenging. And if you were to try to tackle it with just native tools, now that is definitely going to be a difficult fight. So what we want to do is, just like I earlier pointed out, the tool is available right at your disposal. So log on to the website, check what functionalities are available, a whole list of functionalities. The link for which I shared essentially gives you use cases for remote working and from a password self-service standpoint. So here you go. So this is the link. This is where you fill out your details and we'll send you the license right away. So we were talking about seamless password management, SSO and MFA, real-time credential updates, so on and so forth. The tool looks something like this, a couple of screenshots from the tool to help you understand what all can it do for you. And just in case, if you want to get like a broader perspective, you can always get to the remote work toolkit right here, which will give you like the whole picture, what all is possible: passwords, productivity, access security, authentication, Office 365, backup and recovery, the whole deal. Guys, please do understand that we are here to help. We have a team of about 200 folks working on support to just help organizations go remote. In case if you have any questions, not just this, beyond this with respect to remote working, or if you need any assistance with enabling your organization or folks, please feel free to reach out and we'd be more than happy to help. My name is Jay. Thank you so much for having taken the time, guys. I'm available for Q&A just in case if you have questions. Please post them right now. I'll try and take as many questions as possible. Guys, one request, that's all. All I want you to do is stay safe. And I honestly hope the next time when we meet and when we speak, all of us are better off. The whole pandemic is way past us and it's a thing of the past, and we all meet in better times. Guys, stay safe. Thank you so much for having taken time. You have questions, you know my email ID, just drop me a message. You've been such a lovely audience, guys. You have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.